Hey neighbor, welcome back to another video. In this one, I'm going to be doing a full conversation about the Ninja 5 recorder from Atomos. It's been a polarizing device, I think, and it's also kind of confusing because I talk to beginners a lot, and so if you're a beginner, you may not know what a recorder is, or maybe you haven't heard of the Atomos or Ninja 5 systems or anything like that. I'm gonna break it down today in a full conversation. I can't possibly touch everything, so I hope you'll forgive me for that. But I wanted to talk about it, and really quick before I do that though, I want to just show you my office, because I think on Instagram and YouTube and all social media, it's so easy to show a perfected image of our lives. And I've been convicted recently because people have pointed out to me like, oh, I've been vulnerable and sharing like, oh, I need some help like with this or that. And they're like, oh, I didn't even know you needed help. Like, I kind of thought you had everything figured out. And they weren't being mean, and I didn't receive it that way, but I realized I kind of just unintentionally show a polished image. And so I've been doing a little bit of cleaning this morning because of the month of chaos that I just had, where I produced my first online course. I produced LUTs, check those out in the description. That is a plug for them. But anyway, the course and the LUTs just totally wrecked my house. I worked for a month straight, way too much, and I just ended up like having tripods everywhere, having monopods and gimbals and memory cards strewn about the house, and I just did not keep anything organized during that process. So I just wanted to show you a little bit of my reality. This is my office right now. It's just like everything is just strewn about, and like this isn't even that bad because I did a little bit of cleaning this morning, and I have my closet doors closed where I threw a bunch of clothes. But I just wanted to bring a little bit of reality into my YouTube channel, and before I jumped into this Ninja 5 conversation. So yeah, if you're a new subscriber, I hope you see I'm not perfect. This is reality for me. And if you're a returning subscriber, or if you're someone I know, then just know that, yeah, my life is not always put together. And so, yeah, I hope you see that reality. I'll stop now and I'll just let you watch the Ninja 5 review video. If you stuck through all of this rambling, thanks. And I'm gonna clean my office, and then we're gonna get to the Ninja 5 conversation. Peace. Okay, the office is clean and we're ready to go. We're ready to start talking about the Ninja 5. And I'm just gonna set you on the tripod here, and we can start talking now about the actual recorder, the Ninja 5 itself. Here it is. Before we get going though, I have to tell you who. So who is making this video and who is it for? I am a wedding filmmaker, mostly traveling all over the United States and all over the world. I'm based in Kansas City in the Midwest of the US. And I travel a lot, so I make travel films, I make wedding films, I make outdoors films, and I do a little bit of doc work here and there. So that's who is making this video, and that's the perspective that I'm going to be coming from. I'm not going to be talking about high-end commercial production. I'm mostly a one-man crew, one-man run and gun filmmaking crew, and I'm not talking about big, large-scale commercial corporate production. So if that's your setting, maybe you can glean something from this video, but if it's not and you don't get anything from this video, I apologize in advance. I'm also not a highly technical person. I know what gear I need and I use it for what I need it to be used for, and I try not to go too far beyond all of that. I know a lot of the nerdy stuff. I love Gerald and Dunn as much as everyone else, but I try to just use my gear for what it's intended to be used for, so I won't be breaking down every technical aspect of why this works the way it does and what it's used for. So take that as you will. Now, who is this video for? Most of my content is oriented towards beginners. So this is a little bit more of an intermediate piece of equipment, but it's going to be talking about actually using it rather than the high-level technicalities and things that advanced or intermediate videographers want to be talking about. I won't be talking about chroma subsampling and the reason that 422 makes for better masking. I'm just not going to talk about that stuff. It's not important to me. And so if you find that important, you should start making YouTube videos or find someone who's making that YouTube video. But with all that said, that's who is making this video and who it's for. Now let's talk about what this thing is. This is the Ninja 5 from Atomos, and it is a monitor and recorder combo. You may have heard of a camera monitor like the Small HD or all of the Chinese manufactured ones on Amazon, Feel World, and Andy Cine, all of those other ones. They are great monitors that will take the little tiny camera monitor that's too dim to see in bright daylight, and they'll give you a much bigger picture via the HDMI signal coming out of your camera so that you can see your image on a bigger screen, and even have tools like rule of thirds grid or load in LUTs so that you can see what an image will look like color graded, at least some amount of a base view of that, and a bunch of other tools like false color and peaking and even aspect ratio like cropping, all sorts of things like that, de-squeezing for anamorphic. So that's what a monitor does. It just really lets you see, it monitors your image. But a recorder like this Atomos Ninja 5, this is going to record what it is monitoring. So what is seen on the screen here will be recorded to one of these, a SSD that you're just gonna plug into the back of the monitor, just like that. So an SSD is going to be capturing the image that is being displayed here on the recorder, but it's going to be recording at a much better image quality than what your camera is able to do, because what your camera is able to do is kind of limited by its form factor, being that all of that computer mechanism is being smashed into this tiny little camera body. And so instead, your camera offloads the higher quality image here to the monitor. That's not a technical breakdown of how it actually works, but that's what's going on, is that your camera is going to offload onto this monitor a higher quality picture, and this is going to be able to process it because your camera can't, and this will record it. So that's what it's doing, is it's monitoring your image and it is recording the higher quality image that your camera is able to provide to it. Not every camera is able to provide a significantly higher quality image, so with your specific camera setup, you should look up whether or not this is or isn't valuable to you. It may or may not be more or less valuable. For example, with Sony cameras, at least as it stands today, Sony doesn't output a significantly better quality image to a Ninja 5 compared to an internal recording. So a monitor is going to be really helpful with a Sony camera, but a recorder like the Ninja 5 might not be that helpful for you. Whereas with Fuji, which is the system that I shoot on, the X-T3 and the X-T30 there, both of these cameras output a much better signal when it comes to the external recording. So there's a lot of technicalities there. Again, I'm not going to break that down. That's not what I'm doing today. But you will look up your camera, search it on the X-T3 or search it on the Ninja 5 website and see if it does or doesn't work well with this. What is its maximum output now versus with the recorder? And then just make the decision for yourself whether or not it's worth it to get one of these. In order to get the Ninja 5 up and running, you really, well, in all of its purposes, I guess, you have to have a SSD and you have to have a battery that is a Sony NPF, like one of these, and you just attach that right into the back here. And so now you have your SSD and your battery, which you can also use a smaller NPF battery if you want to keep your weight down. And then you need an HDMI cable to run to your camera from the recorder. So it'll plug in right there, go to your camera. So yeah, this is really all you need to get it going. It's gonna cost you about $1,000 USD. This combo kit here is a 500 gigabyte SSD with 2 of the batteries it came with, and then the recorder itself. It didn't come up with this stand from Small Rig. So this cost me about $850, I think. And then the cable was another 20, and then this mount for my camera or for my cage was another 50, I think. So it ended up being pretty close to $1,000 after tax and everything else. Unfortunately, I won't have time today to do a full setup of the Ninja 5 and show you all the ins and outs of the settings that I've worked with, or a specific setup with the XT3 or the XT30, but I can tell you that it's really not that hard. They make it really easy on you. You pretty much just plug it in, tweak a few things, and about 5 minutes in the menu system will show you probably everything you need to know to get shooting and to get a high quality image right out of the recorder and have it functioning with your camera pretty quickly. Although I say that with Fuji, with Sony, I know it's a bit more complicated, in which case Gerald Undone, who I mentioned earlier, is definitely going to be a helpful resource for you. So yeah, that's who this video is made by, who it's for. That's what the Ninja 5 is. And now, why would you buy the Ninja 5, or why should this video matter to you at all? Well, really it comes down to you specifically, whether or not you do or don't need this tool. And that's the way I feel about gear in general, is why do you need gear? I can't say, you know, it's up to you specifically, but I can tell you why I went with this piece of gear. And that is because I am a wedding videographer, wedding filmmaker. And for me, having a backup recording or a redundant recording on a wedding day is essential to me. I just would be panicked if I didn't have a redundant recording on a wedding day. And the Fuji cameras, the XT3 and the XT30, don't dual record. The XT30 doesn't have 2 slots and the XT3 has 2 slots but doesn't record video to both of them. So the Ninja 5 is my insurance policy. I know that this might sound so crazy that I paid nearly $1,000 to get a glorified insurance policy and dual recording, but to me that's valuable. This is incredibly worth it. And so that's my big reason that I bought the Ninja 5, was because I needed dual recording for my industry and for my work that I do. And it came with a bunch of other benefits like high quality video, 10-bit 422 in a ProRes codec coming straight out of the recorder. That's amazing. And the monitoring features are incredible, so I can shoot in F-Log or Eternit and load in my LUTs so that I can view a color grade live on the monitor. That's amazing. There's a ton of other features. I mean, it's just bright in daylight, which is much more than I can say for the camera screens that I have. There's a lot of benefits, but really, I paid $1,000 for an insurance policy so that I have redundant recordings as soon as I leave a wedding day, and I don't have to worry about what happens to that SD card immediately. So that's why I did it. Why you might do it is going to be very different. So if you need it, then definitely go ahead and get it, because I can recommend it really highly. It's a great piece of equipment. I have loved using it. And so if you have any need for it, if any of the things that I've named or if any of the things you've researched have told you to get it or that it might be a good idea, I can affirm that it's a great piece of equipment. I've loved working with it. It's been really handy, and there have been a bunch of situations where it's really saved my life. So yeah, I can tell you it's awesome. Go out there and get it. But with that said, I do have a couple of quirks that people have addressed on the internet and I think are worth talking about as well. The first one is kind of an easy fix, and it's also the sillier one in my opinion, but it's that the fan does get a little noisy. So this is the unit here, and this is the fan. So it has to get rid of all the heat that it's building up from doing its job, right? But it does get pretty noisy, even just on startup. I will start it right now, and I'm sure you've probably seen this before, or you can go find it elsewhere, but I'm going to start it right up next to my mic here, and I'll just let you hear, even on startup, what it sounds like. So that's pretty noticeable in my opinion. And now it's on, it's running. You can see what it looks like there. To me, that's noticeable enough that it does bother me. I do wish that it was quieter, but the easy workaround is to manage your mic setup on a rig in a way that it's not pointed directly in front of the fan or to the left side of it, but on the right side maybe. That's the easiest fix that I've implemented. And also for weddings, for example, I usually put a lav mic on any of the really important audio. And also if I have an on-camera mic running, or if I'm in a noisier environment, the fan noise kind of just blends into the environment. But if you're going to be shooting somewhere that's dead silent and you need really high quality audio right on your camera or in your camera, then you're probably going to pick up that sound. So that's the first quirk, is that the fan noise is a little intrusive at times. The next issue is one that's been a little bit of a bigger deal for many people, it seems, and that is a weird quirk about the full range signal versus the legal range signal coming out of the camera. So I'm gonna have to jump into my computer to show you. I've got a lot of test footage that I've accumulated for this video. Maybe you've been seeing it. I may be overlaying it on this video up till now. But this quirk is pretty easily solved in my experience. I did contact Atomos about this issue, and when I first got the recorder, they said it was actually Fuji's problem about the full range versus the legal range thing, that apparently the recorder can only receive a full range signal when it is in F-Log, F-Gamut, and the Fuji is outputting F-Log, and it can only receive a legal range when the Fuji camera or other cameras is in a picture profile or film simulation. But I think I actually found out that that's not true. That's what Atomos told me, was that it's Fuji's fault. But I found out, I don't think it's either of their faults. It seems like there's for some weird reason, when you bring the files into post-production, they're automatically being limited to legal range as opposed to full range. I'm just gonna have to show you what I mean. So I'm gonna dive into Davinci Resolve and show you exactly the differences that I'm talking about. But yeah, let's just go there for a second. All right, so I've got some Fuji XT3 and XT30 with the Ninja 5 footage ready to go. I've already got a few test shots pulled up, but what I want to talk about is this full range versus legal range issue. I don't know what's going on, and I can't explain why it happens, but I do think that I have a fix that has worked for me, and as far as I can tell, is a comprehensive solution to the problem. But if any of you know something else, I'd be happy to correct this. Please check the pinned comment or the description in case someone brings up something that I didn't know. But here's how I personally fix this, and here's what the problem is so you can actually see it. So we've got the footage here, and I went ahead and grabbed 2 of these test shots of my wife. This was a great situation for testing 10-bit 422 opposed to 8-bit 420, and you can click on the color tab and see that it is H.264 8-bit 420 versus Apple ProRes 422 LT 422 10-bit coming out of the Ninja 5. So here's the difference in the footage. This right here is the DSCF, so this is the Fuji file, and this is the Ninja 5 file. I don't know if you caught that. Hopefully YouTube is showing you this accurately, but look at the difference here. And this is in F-Log. So if I go and show you now what it looks like with the picture profiles, this is my favorite picture profile, this is my go-to. You can see that the Ninja 5 is applying contrast and I think saturation as well. And this is what many people are upset about. If you're one of the people who are upset about this, I totally understand. If you work on big time productions or rely really significantly on color fidelity, then this is a big deal. But if you're someone who just shoots wedding films and travel films and is a one-man crew and run and gun style like myself, this really hasn't influenced me negatively. So don't let this be a turn-off from the Ninja 5 altogether if you're considering it. But you know, take this with a grain of salt that this is a part of the workflow and this is a reality of the Ninja 5. So if this is a make or break deal for you, then don't get it by any means. I don't want to push product on someone who doesn't need it or who might end up creating more problems for themselves. So this is just my experience and this is what I can show you about the solution. As far as I know, this is a holistic solution. This solves any of the full range versus legal range problem that happens. But if someone else knows more than me, which I know for a fact that's probably the case, please comment below what I'm missing and I'll be happy to correct this video and I'll update the description and the pinned comment so that everybody knows, you know, what's really going on. So I'm going to show you now what I think the solution is and how I've solved this problem for myself. So you can see the difference being that there is saturation applied, and I'm going to go ahead and bring in a couple more examples. So this is a little film that I shot in a cabin in California. So I'm just going to bring this clip in here. So that's Ninja 5, and I'm going to shorten it, and I'm going to bring in the equivalent clip from the, oh wait, I'm going to move that down. And I'm going to bring this clip in from the XT3 and I'm going to shorten that down. Okay, so we got one extra clip in there, and now I'm going to pull up this footage from the XT3 that I just shot recently out in the snow, doing a little coffee test video. So, okay, you've got all this test footage in here now, and I'm just going to go through each one and you'll see the difference. That's Fuji, that's the Ninja 5. That's Fuji, that's the Ninja 5. That's Fuji, that's the Ninja 5. Fuji, Ninja 5. So actually that last one, I am having a hard time seeing the difference, but I do know I have edited this footage, so I know that it's there. But the clearest difference is with the picture profile here, which Atomos did tell me that the picture profile does seem to have more of an issue. But I think I've solved that issue too. So basically all I'm gonna do here is once I cull and I get everything on the timeline, let's say that before I go and I color grade, I need to make sure that my Fuji and my Ninja 5 files are going to be equivalent if I'm mixing them on a timeline, or if I just am worried about the fidelity of the Ninja 5 files. I'm just going to select everything on the timeline here, and I'm going to right click or two finger click, and I'm going to say clip attributes, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to change the data levels to full. So I'm going to override whatever it thinks it should be at, and I'm just going to tell it put the data levels at full. Even if they're auto video, you know, if it thinks it's a video, I'm going to tell it to go full signal. And so now when I change this, that was the Ninja 5 footage. You can see now when I click Command Z, when I undo it, and look at the difference there. But now I'm going to click Command Shift Z and I'm going to redo this change. And there you go. And even when we go back and forth between the two picture profiles, the image looks the exact same. So now I get all the benefits of the Ninja 5, giving me ProRes 422 LT in 10-bit, and I still get the color fidelity and everything else is equivalent. And now I'm just going to do a quick plug for my LUTs, where I just show you that just slapping my Fuji LUT on Looks really, really good. Maybe it's a little too warm, so you want to cool it down just a touch. And there's the before and after of what my LUTs look like. So that's a little plug there. But I hope this was helpful. This is the solution I have found for the problem that has probably caused the most drama when it comes to the Ninja 5 across the internet. So if this was helpful for you, please let me know in the comments below. Please leave me a like, subscribe, comment. All of that is really helpful as I try and grow this channel. I would love to help more filmmakers like you. So yeah, if you liked this video, let me know about it. If you didn't, I'm sorry. I'd love to help you still in the comments or send me an email. Visit my website, buy my LUTs, buy my online course. Yeah, overall, Ninja 5, great product. I highly recommend it. There are a few quirks, so don't buy it if you don't need it. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.